The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of paltalk.com, AVM software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube and on my site, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you're encouraged to post your comments, whether you agree with yours truly or not, no retribution, and thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio. We're syndicated to an additional 12 million households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. I welcome you to the show. Well, the economy is down. We are all adjusting our spending. We buy more bargain goods. We eat out less. And charitable contributions are down. Those who are still contributing to charities might feel like they should triage the situation, give just to those organizations that are helping those close to us, and curtail gift giving to those doing good works in developing nations where there's less of a cushion than in the Western world and where the need is even greater. But one of the great thinkers on ethics and morality in our time believes that now is the time to increase our contributions to programs helping those in the developing world. Princeton and Melbourne University bioethicist Peter Singer is out with a new book, The Life You Can Save, Acting Now to End World Poverty, in which he suggests a formula for charitable contributions, one that you may find surprisingly palatable, yet one that would meet UN goals for taking a bite out of poverty worldwide almost immediately. It sounds too good to be true. Let's find out all about it. Professor Singer joins us now live from London. Professor Singer, welcome to News Talk Online on paltalk.com.
Thank you, Gary. Good to be with you.
It's great to have you here with us. I've been an admirer of you and followed your career and your thinking, which has stimulated your pronouncements, thinking by the rest of us. And I guess that's what it's all about, and it's a good thing to do. This is very interesting because we, of course, on this program have been talking pretty extensively, as you might well imagine, about the economic downturn. And we find more and more people saying, I got to take care of people in my community, in my neighborhood. They may even expand it a little bit further and look at it from a narrowly nationalistic view and say, well, I'm in the United States. I have to take care of people who are less fortunate than me in the United States, or I'm in England, and that's where my money should go. But you're arguing that we should do exactly the opposite, but ensure that our level of contribution to the developing world continues. How can we do that and still keep our own heads above water?
I think that what we should be thinking about when we give is how to make our dollars go as far as possible, and that's especially true in a downturn if we feel that we don't have as many dollars as we used to have and can't give quite as much. We surely want them to do as much good as possible. And the reality is that if we live in one of the affluent nations, whether it's the United States or the United Kingdom or any of the others, your money just isn't going to go as far. I mean, when people are in real extreme poverty, which is rare in those countries, that you can do things for them that you can't do for people who have the backup of some kind of safety net, some kind of social security system, or for example, just the fact that people in developed countries have safe water to drink. It comes out of the tap and it's safe to drink, whereas in poor countries, they may have to walk for an hour just to fetch water from a polluted river, and then they have to boil it if they've got the fuel to boil it. So you can do simple things like give them safe drinking water, which will save them a lot of time each day and reduce the chances of their children getting sick from the polluted water. And those are things that you can't really do in the rich nations.
You know, the question, the issue that you raise, Peter Singer, is one that is perplexing even when we are in a time of great wealth, where we have a lot of discretionary income, because when we make contributions, we all want to make sure that the money, the bulk of it, is not going to administrative costs, is not being siphoned off for purposes other than intended, and is actually getting to the people we want the money to go to. How can we be assured when we write that check or when we fill out that form on the internet and we pop in a PayPal account number or our Visa or MasterCard or American Express card number, that that particular organization is really sending that money to the people who are really, truly in need?
Well, I think a lot of people have exaggerated ideas about the amount of corruption and misuse from aid organizations. I mean, I'm not saying that it never happens, but there are hundreds, thousands of organizations out there. Every now and again, you know, one scandal gets featured in the newspapers. It's a little bit like saying flying is dangerous because I read that there was a plane crash last year. You know, there are all of the flights that take off and land safely don't make it to the newspapers, and basically that's the case with aid organizations. Those that have another successful year without any sort of serious scandal are not likely to get reported in the newspapers. But you know, if your listeners are genuinely worried about this, I suggest they go to a website I've set up to go with my recent book. thelifeyoucansave.com is the web address, and you'll see there a page you can click on to get information about organizations that I recommend. And I don't believe that any of them you know, are going to waste the money that you give. I think it will almost all go to the projects and the people that you want it to go to. Of course, every organization has to spend something on administration, otherwise it's not going to exist. Otherwise it can't send you a receipt for your donation and can't make sure that the donation does go to a useful project. It needs to have paid staff who will check the project where it's going to. But you know, with a small deduction of maybe in the 10 to 20% range, the rest of the money will do what you want it to do.
Well, you know, it's very interesting, Peter Singer, that I have learned, because one of the causes that I push periodically on this show is malaria, that it only takes a couple dollars, I think $5, to get a mosquito netting that is properly treated to cover 2 children for a year or even more and keep them from getting malaria. And the anti-malaria medications are a lot cheaper per dose for at least pediatrically as they are being dispensed in the areas of the African continent that are hardest hit than they would be for whatever reason in the United States and Canada and New Zealand and Australia or in the United Kingdom. And so a single greenback dollar can really go a long, long way to helping a lot of people.
Yes, it definitely can. And you're right. I think the